Good morning and welcome, everybody. My name is Ben Vogel, and I'm here as a member of Voices of Men. I'm here as an employee of the Appleton Area School District, and most importantly, I'm here as a husband to my wonderful wife, Leslie, and a father to our 7 children, Jack, Eli, Preston, Eleanor, Audrey, Cale, and Truman. I think I got them all.
Good morning. My name is Tom Berkedahl, and I'm the incoming district governor for Rotary International, senior investment manager and branch manager for the Stiefel Nicholas Financial Office here in Appleton, and a proud member of the Voices of Men leadership team. First of all, I'd like to thank Beth, Julie, Caroline, and Lynn for their opening comments. And I ask you all to join me in a special thank you to everyone involved with the 4 agencies, working every day to help the many survivors of sexual assault and domestic violence in the region. Thank you. You may be asking yourself why an event sponsored by an organization called Voices of Men begins its meeting with comments by 4 women. Well, the answer is simple. It's the tradition of Voices of Men to start and end every breakfast event and every meeting of the leadership team with a message by one of our 4 amazing women who run our partner agencies. And Voices of Men is an organization of men who are enlightened and informed by women. The first-hand knowledge of the issues facing victims of domestic violence and sexual assault in the Fox cities that these women provide is vital to our organization as we work toward our mission of changing the attitudes and actions of men and boys that contribute to the abuse of women and children. My personal involvement with Voices of Men began 3 years ago when I attended my first breakfast. During the roundtable portion of that breakfast, I was asked, "Why are you here?" And my answer was pretty simple. I said that I'm here for 5 reasons, and their names are Lori, Karen, Katie, Jenny, and Mia. My awesome wife, my 3 amazing daughters, and my currently 6-year-old granddaughter who is perfect in every way. Sometimes. As I sat at that breakfast, I was struck by the devastating facts about domestic abuse and sexual violence, which were communicated in such a dynamic and impactful way. Before that breakfast was over, I knew that I couldn't sit back and ignore the problem. And I pledged to myself, then and there, that I was going to be part of the solution. That first Voices of Men breakfast for me was a call to action.
As Tom said, the mission of Voices of Men is to change the attitudes and actions of men and boys that contribute to the abuse of women and children. And our opportunities to uphold this mission present themselves each and every day of our lives in subtle and not so subtle ways. I was recently reminded of the many different ways that we can all make a difference as we go about our daily lives. So my dad passed away in January. At his wake, a man came up to me and told me a story about my father. And this morning, I want to share this short story with you. So over the years, my dad would play cards with a group of his golfing buddies. They'd golf, then they'd play cards. My dad had told me several months back that he had stopped playing cards because he was really bothered by the way some of the guys spoke disrespectfully about women. I don't know exactly what they were saying, but whatever it was, it made my dad uncomfortable, and he didn't think it was right. Just to be clear, my dad was a regular guy, Korean War vet, loved to joke around, loved to have fun, but he also showed his wife and his 6 children from day one that he was going to treat all people, men, women, and children, with respect and dignity. I know the situation had been weighing heavily on his mind. He said he was having trouble telling his buddies how he felt, but after talking this over with my mom, he knew he had to say something. The next time the group got together to play cards, he told them that he was going to take a break from playing cards because he was uncomfortable with the disrespectful language toward women that was being used. My dad was not a dramatic guy, but he let these guys know how he felt. When the man came up to me at my dad's wake, he wanted to let me know that my dad's words had made a difference with many of the guys, and that the conversation at the card games had changed. He told me that after my dad shared how he felt, a couple of the other men spoke up the following week. My father's willingness to take a stand had given other men the courage to take a stand as well. Before the man departed, he shared with me that he had been planning to give my dad a call and tell him about the changes that had occurred in hopes that my dad would return to play in the card game. So when I thought about this recently, it struck me that this is exactly what Voices of Men is about. It's about each and every one of us continually striving to be a strong, positive example for others to follow in the ways that we, each and every one of us, treat women and children with respect and dignity in our everyday lives. So I want to take this opportunity to thank my dad for being such a strong example for me to follow with my wife, my 7 children, and all the people I come in contact with every single day. Thanks, Dad, for sharing your legacy with me, and I will try my best to carry it forward.
Earlier, I mentioned being struck by the statistics that I heard at my first breakfast event. So let me share a few updates with all of you. In 2013, more than 1,000 women received counseling for domestic violence in the Fox Valley, and over 600 women and children were sheltered in local domestic violence shelters. In 2013, 87% of all of the sexual assault survivors were female. And shockingly, in the Fox Valley, over 3 in 10 of those survivors were children under the age of 14. I think we can all agree that these statistics are appalling and that something needs to be done. That's where Voices of Men and everybody in this room comes in. So allow me to share with you some of the highlights of this past year within the Voices of Men organization. Since last year's breakfast, Voices of Men has added key talent and skills to all of our volunteer teams. We've made a strong effort to reach out to the Hispanic and Hmong communities in the area. We've attended and participated in dozens of events locally, including 1 Billion Rising, the Hmong Community Day, and Take Back the Night. We surveyed all of the men that have taken the Voices of Men pledge over the years, and the results were encouraging. For example, in the last year, over 95% of those men surveyed had either attended an event or took some action in support of women or children. And over 50% of the men surveyed said that they had spoken up when an inappropriate comment was made about women. I could go on, but the bottom line is this: we're making progress. Our breakfast team successfully recruited over 24 companies and organizations as sponsors to support this breakfast and to enable Voices of Men to increase our activities and visibility over the next 12 months. And finally, there are 750 or more attendees at this year's breakfast. I mean, look at all of you. It's amazing. That's a whopping 40% increase over last year. I can't tell you how much your financial support and your presence here this morning means to everybody at Voices to Men, our partner agencies, and especially to all of the domestic violence and sexual assault survivors in the Valley. Thank you very much.
And the work of Voices of Men in this breakfast would not be possible without the support of our many great sponsors. I would ask that you please hold your applause until I'm able to read through each sponsor. And I'd also ask that employees of each sponsor please stand as you are announced and stay standing until all sponsors have been recognized. Here's the list of sponsors. Affinity Health System. If you would stand, please. Thank you. Appleton Emergency Medicine. Appian Inc., Bemis Kerwood, Bergstrom Corporation, BMO Harris, Children's Hospital of Wisconsin, Commercial Horizons, Community First Credit Union, Community Foundation for the Fox Valley Region, Community Health Action Team led by ThedaCare, Faith Technologies, Fox Valley Emergency Medicine, Goodwill Industries of North Central Wisconsin, Great Northern Corporation, Infinity Healthcare, Kimberly-Clark Corporation, Menasha Corporation, Miller Electric Manufacturing Corporation, Neenah Foundry, Pierce Manufacturing, Secure Insurance Companies, The Bolt Company, ThedaCare, Thrivent Financial for Lutherans, United Way Fox Cities, U.S. Venture, Willems Marketing, and the Women's Fund for the Fox Valley region. Let's have a round of applause for all of our sponsors. I almost forgot, I need to introduce. Next, I'd like to introduce two important Voices of Men leaders to the podium. Please welcome Shannon Kenevin of Goodwill Industries and a member of the Voices of Men leadership team, and Corey Torres, a senior at Lawrence University, graduating on Sunday, studying gender studies, who served on the Voices of Men breakfast planning team. Gentlemen, please come forward.